Just checking.
And I'll just show you a couple things. One nice thing that I like about Retreat is I bring my projects that I'm behind on or I need to make progress on, and but they have a big patio there full of stations of messy things. Eco dyeing, the one thing, eco dyeing with blue dye, cyanotype, which is sun prints, spatter painting with stencils. Um, what else do they have? A paste paper, sometimes marbling. So it's just really fun. And then we had this time four little demos, kind of make and takes. So my demo was a book, but we actually used our old calligraphs. This one isn't that. I don't have the other handy, but this was my practice for before I did my demo, just to make sure I remembered how to make the book. And I use these are calendars from the Getty, calendar pages from the Getty. I don't know where I got those. I don't think I had a Getty calendar. Somebody must have given it to me. So that was my thing was I led a little session on making these pamphlet books with chain stitch spine, single signature. Okay, and let's see. Georgie did some batiking. I forgot to mention we had a batiking lesson. We had a lesson on the filigrees, similar to what Benoit Foray teaches. And we had a lesson on shadow letters where you use just a shadow to indicate the letter. So it was really fun. A lot of times I skipped the demos, but there were too many good ones this time. So, okay. Any comments before we get started on tonight's lesson? Okay. Oh,
I would only say it's 9:30 here already.
okay.
I may not be on a long, I usually don't come right on these, but I just wanted to say hi and
Okay.
stay on while I can. I did take a nap.
Glad you're so dedicated. Okay. All right. So I had originally posted, I had done a piece, Lisbeth Bowden style, and I need to make that strokes thicker. And that's originally what I thought of. But then I thought, you know what? I'm going to continue what the letters we were working on, monoline. So I changed the picture on the website and I worked on that at retreat. And here I thought I was going to do a quick spend just a couple hours creating a demo but I ended up spending 3 days, I think. I did other things, but the other demos and all, but I spent about 3 days instead of 2 hours on this. I really got into it and I think I'm going to make it into an exhibit piece. So I'm really enjoying it. And Susan showed me that she got the book. Let me let somebody in. She got the book at the library. So, and I like these letters. So I decided this is what I was going to do. And what I did was I went through the book because it's got letters inside too. Let's see, just like the title here. You won't find, I didn't find every letter and I didn't like every letter. I liked most of them, but so I came up with my version. So that's one thing I did was I played with alphabets and the way I wanted to draw them.
We're using a speedball to do that letter.
I used the Speedball B for my initial draft.
Yeah.
And so I will get to, and I want to just show how many drafts I did. And at first I wasn't that thrilled, but as it came together, I was thrilled. So here's me just doing my, starting to work out the composition, and that doesn't have much in the way of composition. I do have wavy lines though, so there's the start, and I'm doing the letters.
Can you see?
And it's a fun one. In the spring, at the end of the day, you should smell like dirt. It's Margaret Atwood.
She spelled spring wrong.
And then I just kept going, playing with the composition. It's evolving now. I'm breaking up the lines the way I might. And then I just tried it just to play with, is that going to show? No, well, just played with some outlining just to see how it was going to work. And then I continued working on the composition. It's it's coming along, getting better. I've got little arrows in there to move lines over, etc. Just coming along. I did a lot. I'm just showing them quickly. I did a lot of renditions. This is the last one I did with walnut ink. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to try some color just to play around because I do want to do color. And this will not be the colors I'm using, but it was my playing around and starting to think about the color. I definitely will use green, and I probably will use brown for the smell like dirt, but probably you should will be brown, and then the center one, I'm not sure yet. Maybe it'll be
Kristi, are
that.
you going to do like a similar outline that Sasman did and then fill in, or
Yeah, so
outline after? Okay, okay. Yeah.
so what I did was I came up with it with a B nib, and I have never liked the B nib, but you know what? I'm coming around. And I knew I was going to trace it. And so I wanted to work out the composition with the B nib. That's so much faster than outlining. And then I traced it. And I'm starting to really like it. It's got a long way to go, but I'm really liking it. And then I get to what I've learned from Lisbeth Bodens. I've taken several classes with her. I just am enamored with her work. And one thing she would have us do, you would do this, but usually you did it as a thumbnail. But because I just happened to have that size B nib with me and I was rushing around packing, I didn't have a smaller B nib, so it was that size. So what I did, I reduced it because it's faster to refine a smaller piece. If I'm going to refine this size, I'm going to have to redraw all those letters over and over. And also one thing Lisbeth had us do was fill them in so you could look at them black against white and look at your balance and your spacing. It all shows up better. So I reduced it and I thought this is a little too small. I think this was, I don't know, it's less than 50%. And so I went with, I did go with 50% then. And I think that's great. I'm working out the spacing. The next thing I'll do is I have some renditions I'm working on. I'm working out the spacing. I'm working out the width of the letters, etc., the structure. But at some point I'm going to go a little bigger, maybe 75%, because I'm getting pretty messy. I'm scribbling this in fast. And as soon as I get ready to do more refining, then I will go 75%, I think. I'll try that. It's on my printer. I just scan it and then and you fill it in before you scan it. And I did trace the outlines on most of these, but I want the strokes to be the same width. I haven't fully focused on that yet. I kind of was working on this before here and I haven't finished, but I'm also working on the spacing, and this is not my latest one. No, this is my latest one. And what I've seen now with this rendition is I want to add more spacing in the word spring. What I did do was I thought the N was too skinny. And so I widened it here. I widened a few other letters. I didn't widen the D's, which in Romans they are a wider letter, but I widened the N, H, and U. I widened those. So I'm just playing with this. I can do as many renditions as I need to. And by the way, I will say our guild is going to have an exhibit in October. And one nice thing about this place is they have a digital component. It's one of those software things where it looks like you're walking through a gallery with the pictures on the wall. So our non-local members can enter the exhibit also and be represented. So we're looking forward to that. So I don't know if I'll enter this piece, but I am working towards October that gives me a goal to work on. So I'm just going to talk about this and a couple other things. This was a brush monogram I did, pretty messy. I'm not, as you could tell in the past, I'm not up to practice. I don't keep up with my brush, but this is good for me to do an outlined letter. So that'll be much quicker than that whole quote. But I really like that quote. So, and in fact, okay, I have something to show you. It's over here. So somebody sent me this in the mail. Let me put it here. This was a gift that was sent to me. And now it makes me want to add illustrations to my own.
Yeah, I was just going to say, could you focus the camera?
Yeah, no, I
Oh, you've got plastic on the face of it as well.
yeah, yeah.
There we go.
That's why I turned off the light because of the plastic. But anyway, here it's from Victoria Cabildus, who now lives in Las Vegas, and she sent this and just little illustrations in there. And I had said, and we talked about Violet will be teaching illustrated correspondence. Well, that's the kind of thing that would be perfect for quotes. We had a illustrated recipe class. Those are just, all of that can be used across all these different things. So now I want to work first on my quote, but then I want to figure out how I can add illustrations. It just makes it so fun. And this one is just little rays. Those are within my drawing skills. And I think I can draw tulips like that too. So just simple things. So I'll be working on that once I get the quote going. Okay. So I'm going to talk about Lisbeth's process because I think I would give up on these if I didn't have her process that just walked me through refining a quote like this. Because I'm looking at it and I drew it and I'm at retreat and I'm kind of in a hurry. I mean, I'm getting towards the end, I'm kind of in a hurry. And then I missed the outline. And so then I put another line in. Well, I mean, that's not going to work. And I don't want to just keep drawing this over and over and over. So with Lisbeth's process, we just do this you work on different renditions, and of course, she's much faster and she doesn't have to do so many, but you do as many as you need to do till you're happy with the structure of your letters, the width of them, the spacing, the composition. And as I mentioned, she has you work smaller to save time. And then you slowly just keep enlarging. So you start small, you work on that, you do it with outlines, fill it in, correct what you were going to correct. And if you have more corrections needed, then you can do it again, trace it, and then you start enlarging it. And what we would do, so I trace these on a light box, but when we get bigger and we're working with Lisbeth, you'd either use carbon paper or that type of paper, or she has you color on the back with like a 7B pencil, a soft pencil, and then you trace it. And you trace it lightly. You're just getting your bones down there, and then you will refine. And whenever I took a class with Lisbeth, we always had a printer there that we could reduce or enlarge. You can do this by hand, but it's going to take so much more time. So we would use the printer. Once we got it to the point where we were done with this draft, we would reduce or enlarge as depending on where we were in the process. And I'm saving this, and I scanned it. Of course, I scanned it because I had to reduce it, but also I can work on the color. I can play with different color in here till I get the color to the point that I want it. So that's one great thing. I've got the all-in-one scanner. Those are very common these days. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about just where I am right now, and please ask questions, things that will help you with what you're doing. But what I did is I scanned the piece and I reduced it, and that's this. I filled it in. And then I made notes to myself, and they're not maybe super clear on here because they're pencil, but I said I wanted a wider N. I wanted a shorter E that takes up too much space, and I'm doing narrow letters. I thought this was too narrow. I didn't want them that narrow, but this one was too wide comparatively. And I did like this. These are not standard traditional Romans. I'm going for somewhat, sorry, I'm checking the chat. I want somewhat narrow, not too narrow. And I don't want to be tied down by having exact proportions. I don't want a wide G here. I just chose to make a narrower G. My N, it's still fairly narrow, but it is not as wide as a traditional N. So those are I gave myself parameters. I'm going to make some of the letters that would be wider and traditional. I'm going to make them a little wider, but not, they're still narrow. And I will mention I took a class with John Stevens, and Dorothy was in that class too. We did a whole page of small written narrow letters. And for that, I'm trying to think, who was it? Was it Werner Schneider or somebody from that era and that talent? He did this with all his letters were the same width except of course but they were all the same width. He didn't worry about the Roman proportions. They just were a certain width, and he stuck with that. So that made me think I can be flexible here. I will just set my parameters and go with that. So I've got these, so I want more space in here. So I did add a little bit of space, but I'm looking at this, not enough space. And we've talked many times about spacing, but I was trying to not be totally stuck on perfect spacing. I did calculate out what I thought the spacing should be, and then I thought, no, I want it a little closer. But then when I got done with the word, I think it is too close. It's too crowded. If you look at these other letters, I like dirt. I want spring to be more like dirt, a little more space in there. So I will work on that. And I drew some pencil lines around this to give myself some borders to aim for. So I have more space I can go over. I'm not trying to have this line up, justified, right and left justified. I'm just trying to stagger it so it's balanced. But I have this room over here to move it over. So I will be moving this one over. And I can move it over a little this way if I need to. And the one thing, I had to stop and think about this. So I've taken classes. We did rows of tall, narrow letters, and then we did shorter, narrower letters, and we did traditional. And when you did narrower letters, you had narrower spaces. And I'm looking at this, and these letters, if I look at them here, what I actually first thought I would do is I would make this N the same width as this N. But then look how it looks. It's tall. It just looks too narrow. So that's what I love about this. I can work out these different, I can try different things. That's what I'm doing now. I was trying to think, do I want them all exactly the same width? And so I've been playing around and I like it, as I said, narrow, but not as narrow as I had it. Any questions? So I'm going to work on the next rendition. I'm going to work on spacing this out more. And then once I have it, I could erase this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to do another. It's small. I'm going to do another. I did this pretty quick. And you can see it's messy. I haven't finished refining it because I know I want to focus on fixing this. But once I get that space to where I want it, I want to work on getting the strokes to be the same width. And I'm thinking even these shorter ones, I probably want to have the same width as the strokes in the taller one, but I'm going to play with that. We'll see how it works out. And again, then once I get one that I'm happy with, the spacing looks good, letter structure looks good, and the strokes are the same width, then I will start enlarging it. And with Lisbeth, we didn't suddenly go to full size. We went in graduations and you would just refine. And by the time you were done, it comes out very much neater. I have a piece I did with her and it's much neater than anything I normally do. That's why I like this process so much. I can be messy on these drafts. So we had covered the different letters. We had covered the Gothic letters. Let me just get that out. And I was looking, I've got a journal, a line journal that I play with these letters on and when I was showing them here, I'm looking at them, they're so messy. But I thought, you know what? I like them enough that I could do drawn letters based on my messy letters that I had done with a pen or with a brush. So I think it'd really be fun to do something in this too. Does anyone want to talk about what they think they're going to do or what they have started? I know, I thought Violet, she already had some stuff done. She'd taken it pretty far, so she just whips that stuff out. I'm a little slower than that.
I just posted it to the Facebook
Oh,
page.
today, because right
Yeah.
after the class, the last one, you had posted things that you had already done a lot on, so they weren't finished, obviously, but you had already done a lot on it. So we'll have to look at that. Those who are in Facebook, you'll want to look at that. Okay, let's see how we're doing time-wise. So I'm gonna I'll demo this, working with this. And
Um,
go ahead.
I was just going to show you. I have the book,
Okay,
and I've been practicing with the art. I don't know.
let me spotlight you. Okay, you'll have to, your background's blurred,
Um,
so you'll have to, okay. Okay, hold it up and just put it closer to the camera in front of your face. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to see it with the
Let me
blurred.
see if I can um change. Um, anyway, I I like what I did, and I like the idea of doing illustration with the writing. And I also have been working on a little menu thing, which again, I don't know if
There,
you can.
there, we can see it right there. If you put it against you, well,
I think our virtual background is messing it up.
yeah, no, we know that, but
Oh, well, I'll figure it out. But it's for I have a friend who he's an adult, but he's mentally challenged and he has to be on a special diet. And so I thought it would be fun to make like menu things for
yeah,
him.
sounds great.
So I've been kind of fooling around with that.
Well, so maybe you can take a picture and post it in Facebook, or you can email it to me and I'll post it. We'd love to see that.
Okay, it's not perfect.
No, but we know that we're in process.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I won't post it to the world unless you want me to,
Okay,
but
no.
just to this group.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on this, and I am going to put on my light box. So at retreat, I didn't use layout paper. I used drawing paper, but layout paper is perfectly fine for that. And so that's what I'm using now. And I think it's a little quicker. And let me just zoom in a little.
Yeah. Could you also spotlight yourself?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so these are just brush drawn letters. They're messy, and so I am going to straighten them out. And what I could do, and probably the best thing would be to reduce this before I start, but this is so simple, it's not going to take that much. I'm just going to start by tracing, and then later I can reduce it if I want to refine it more. But luckily, a monogram is pretty simple. And what I can do is, so my messy brush strokes, they're not perfectly consistent width-wide, they're wobbly, and that's all things I can fix by drawing. And I'll play with this. I can put can make the top a little wider or not. I'm gonna get right in there. Okay, and then there's some real wobbly stuff on this that I want to correct. So this is my opportunity. And I'll mention something else I thought of on my other piece I'm doing. And I can come back in this, I can do as many of these as I want. This is kind of squared off, rounded, squared off, which I can leave it like that, or I can make it more round, more square. It's just whatever we want to do when we're drawing the outlines is the time that we can play with correcting this. And I'll talk a little bit more about the future steps on this. Okay, so there it is. I've traced it. And this, I think what I'll do next step, not here, I don't want to take the time, is I will reduce this and then I will work on refining it. I want to get this, I've done it real sketchy. I want to make that neater. So I'm going to take this. I think this will be quick, and so I plan to work on this also. I do sometimes design postcards just for personal use, and this could be what I put on the back of the postcard as my little monogram. Right now I have one done in type, so I can replace it with that. Just to talk about the next steps, and next time we have a study group, I can just talk about the next steps, but I'm not going to totally demo everything because we do have some guest speakers for our future sessions. But what Lisbeth did, so let's say I enlarge this, and if I want this even larger, let's say I want to make this into a good sized piece, then I can enlarge it more. Maybe my printer won't print it. A lot of times there are settings on the printer, you can print like 4 pages and put them together and you'll have your outline, or you can take it somewhere like Staples and have it printed if you wanted to do it larger. So there are different ways to do that. And since I know that I tend to be a little messy, a little sloppy, one thing that really helped me when I did these outlines on the final version is Lisbeth had us, other people may have you use a brush to outline the letters, but she had us use a pen. And just the friction of that pen on the paper just kept me more slow, and I was able to do it so much more neatly. So I just had the pen inside, and that's how I wrote my letters. And the final piece, the letters are filled in with paint gouache. But I wrote the outline using a broad edge nib, not even a tiny one, just a medium broad edge nib, and wrote the letters, and then I painted them in. And for this one, I'm kind of thinking I just want to do an outline and maybe watercolor them. So that's all things that I'm going to play with, doing different renditions of this. And that's where, although I am going to enlarge this to be bigger to work with, it's not going to be huge, and that will give me good, I'll have outlines, I can photocopy it, and I can play with color. Any questions?
Yeah, were these totally freehand or did you use any vertical references when you were doing this?
Yes, let me talk about that. I planned to talk about that, and you thankfully reminded me. Okay, so when I did my letters, I don't think I had any vertical, but I noticed some of them were kind of at a slant. They kind of leaned. So when I got down to these, I put this paper underneath the layout paper on the light box, and I used those lines to help me straighten my letters. So they weren't. So I didn't have some that were leaning. So great question. And I have other, I just grabbed this one because it was handy, but I have other. I took a class, a calligraphy class at the local community college, and he gave us this guide sheet. And it's just handy for keeping things straight.
Um, I have a question.
Sure.
Ever since we did the class with watercolors and the book, um, I've looked at all kinds of different illustrations like that, and some of the outlines are a little wobbly or not perfect.
Yeah, definitely. And Wendy's are not perfect at all. It goes with her writing style.
Yeah, and I really like that.
Yeah, so you do whatever you want. I want mine to be neater, but I'm
Okay,
going to have a separate piece. Hers goes very well with her drawings. It's just perfect. For
okay.
mine, I want them to be a little more, I don't want anything formal, but I want them to be neater than this. And I had pointed out that the spacing is really bad there. But it looks, I love this, but I don't want to do that.
Right.
So, but it
Like
looks great here.
I noticed even in her drawings and others too. I mean, not just her, but um, sometimes it's almost like a little loose, I would
Yeah.
say.
So you choose what you want to do. I chose that I am going to work towards a more refined version. And you know what this kind of reminds me of? Years ago, I had some Mary Engelbreit little posters, cute little posters like Hurt Not the Earth, an Earth Day type poster. But hers were neat. And I'm kind of, when I'm looking at this, I need to look on the internet and bring up some of her old posters. But I'm just kind of going more of a Mary Engelbrecht style, but I'm inspired by Wendy McNaughton and hers. So you choose what you want to do. And I said Mary Engelbrecht, but that was Lisa Engelbrecht, our member, Mary Engelbright. Okay. Any other questions?
Kristi, I want to mention that a couple of my calligraphy teachers always said that if you make things too exact, it doesn't look like it was done by a human, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's okay to have a few little wobblies here and there and a
And
little
I
different.
I will say I am aiming to have mine more refined, but I will tell you I am not capable of doing it perfectly, so I'm not too worried about people thinking it was done by a machine.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we all have our own level and our own, some people have perfectly steady hands, and we just work with our skills and our what we like. And I just liked that Wendy McNaughton lettering. So, but as I said, that Gothic poster lettering, show card lettering, that kind of grew on me too. When you add color, it grew on me. All right, so I think that's mainly what I wanted to share tonight. I'm going to just keep continuing to do drafts of this and refine it. I'm not worried about getting the whole thing done in one swoop. I'll do several more of these and correct the different things that I need to correct between different versions. And I can post them in our Facebook group so people can see as it moves along. And I would love to see what others are doing.
I would like to show my inspiration.
Okay, just a minute. I am going to take myself off. Was that Susan or is that Joyce?
Joyce.
Okay, just a minute. Go ahead.
So this is my inspiration piece.
Okay,
And-
yours is a little more high end.
Okay, but the work I'm doing is not. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love the contrast of the shaded letter and then the very fine line.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Hated the spacing of this line. It just really bothered me with the thins and the thicks here. And I wondered if you had any comment about that, and then I'll show you what I've been working on.
It looks good to me, and I love that ligature with the O and the E.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was my first,
And others feel free to chime in.
this was the first set of letters.
Mm-hmm.
Started writing some words because that's how I do it. And then started refining them down here. So I don't know if I'm working in the right direction or not. This is the first time I've ever sort of modified an inspiration alphabet.
You know, I think you work in, I did the same thing. I wrote words first, and then I said, I want to work out more letters. So then I worked out the alphabet, and then I started writing the quote using those letters and playing with it.
So this is what the end is supposed to look like. The quote is, "Love is worth the time it takes to find it," in a heart.
Very nice.
Half the heart.
Very nice. That will look great. I will say a lot of what I did with Lisbeth was more serif Romans. I love those, and but for this, I just got taken with that monoline.
I love the drawn letters. They're just they're more work, but it's a freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't I do like some pen written Romans, but it you have to practice all the time, and the hand when at least we can refine. If we're drawing them, we can be refining. If we don't, my hand is not that steady, so. But I will say, I know our hands get steadier when we do this all the time, but I'm so busy with administration, etc. I'm not doing it all the time. Okay, so do we have any more? Violet, do you have anything you want to hold up? You posted on Facebook, but not everybody is there. Do you have anything handy to hold up? You may not
Sure,
have
hang
it
on. Let
there.
me just get my camera.
Okay,
Easier than holding it up.
let me, and then I'll spotlight you.
Okay. Switch cameras. So I did the class with Ruth as well, and here we go.
Okay, just a minute. Let me. So, can you repeat? Can you? Oh, with yeah, our recipe class.
Yeah, the recipe class. I can't remember her last name. Ruth was her first.
No, it wasn't Ruth.
Was it
Wendy, my mind is
It was Barbara Roth.
Barbara Roth. Okay.
Barbara Roth, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And because we had just done a program with our group, making these, out of one sheet, making a little booklet,
Yeah, that's great.
I decided to work in that while we were working in her class.
That's beautiful.
That's so pretty.
So just little illustrations to
I
go.
love the negative space in your pot that you did. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I just kept playing. I kept adding more recipes.
Wow.
And then I got to the end and I thought, no, another illustration. And then
Lovely.
this one was from
Your
this.
version.
the last version or the
Lovely.
last session that we did. Yeah.
So lovely. I did see when you post. I saw these pictures when you posted them, but I didn't realize they were in a cute little book like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's great because now it can sit on my shelf as well.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, anybody else have anything to share?
Violet, was that a pamphlet fold? One piece?
I have no idea what it's called.
It's a what, but it's a one
One
page
sheet?
cut
One
into a book.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One
That's
page.
it. Uh-huh.
I
Yeah,
think that
that
when they're
is.
done in a smaller sheet, they call them zines.
Yeah, they're zines.
Zine folds. There's other names too. There's quite several different names for them. One
Well,
sheet.
this is a quarter sheet of watercolor paper.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah.
Good job.
lovely, lovely. Okay, I think we might get done early today. So, yeah, if nobody else has anything to share.
Well, I'm trying to improve on what I'm doing with John Stevens. We're doing brush Romans with drawn
Pointed
brushed
brush,
Romans,
pointed brush, right?
pointed brush
Yeah.
Romans. And so I'm working on that. And I just did.
Okay, just a minute.
Oh, lovely.
Very nice.
So, yeah.
Oh,
That's
Dorothy, that's
gorgeous.
beautiful.
That's
Oh,
Beautiful.
so beautiful.
it is so hard.
Oh,
I spent a long time just on these few letters.
That is just
oh, hold
gorgeous.
it up again. Hold
Oh,
it up
okay,
again
wait a
if you
minute. Then
can.
I gotta spotlight her again. So Dorothy, everything
Oh,
she does is beautiful.
No, 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 no.
Wow.
that is
She'll say
charming,
that,
just
but
charming. Oh,
Beautiful.
thanks for sharing that. I love that.
It's his first time teaching it. So we're his guinea pigs. And it's really hard.
so just for Dorothy Yuki took Risa Gettler's ornament letters or illuminated letters, and other people were lucky to get one done every few weeks, and Dorothy did several every week. So she gets very good. Okay, anything else before we end? And I will talk about what our upcoming sessions are too. So we take the summer off from study group. And normally in September and October, we do review the structure of the letters and then spacing. But this time I have Annie Lawrence is going to walk us through serifed Romans, and she's going to do them with 3 different tools.
Oh,
And
great.
she kind of draws hers, but I did some with her, and I was really happy the way they looked right off the bat. I mean, mine were far from perfect, but they showed promise. So we'll have a good time with her. And then the other one is going to be, so because of the holiday, we have a holiday the first weekend in September. So that'll be the second Friday in September. And then in October, we have Rick Paulus. So we can't do our study group then. So we are going to do Allison Clement from Ocala, Florida, will be walking us through Versals, and that'll be 2 weeks after our first September. We'll have 2 in September, none in October. So we're looking forward to those. And then once we're done with those, we can get back to the structure. But we didn't want to pass up on the chance of having those guest speakers, presenters. Let's see, let me turn off this. Okay, so our calligraphy year ends June 30th. And we have a lot so I am not going to be in the Inland Empire group anymore. I won't be leading that. But I'll be doing just San Diego, and we have a lot lined up. And so it's just waiting for me to get them out on the website. And another one I'm working with is Philip, and I can't pronounce his last name, from Poland. And he's going to be doing Textura with us. That'll be next year. I have several in the works for next year, and we'll have a couple more workshops with Violet as well. And Barbara Close in November, but that's in person. We're trying, and if we have in person, then we try to do an online in addition. So we will have an online class also. Okay. So with that, I think we're going to end early tonight. Thank you all for coming out.
Thank
Thank
you, Kristi, for everything you're doing.
Yeah.
And you've
Thank you,
done.
Christy.
Thank you.
Christy.
Thank you so much.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Kristi.
Hey, Kristi,
Uh-huh.
it's Janet. Hi. Before you hang
Hi.
before you hang up, can you guide me toward where the recordings are?
Yeah, why don't I actually I emailed them
Oh, okay.
because it has to process still, and but I'll send you a link to where you can find them. So if I have a guest speaker, under contract we have a limit how long they're out there. But if it's me, I just leave them out there. So I can send you a link. I'll put it in the email where they are in case you want to see a past one. But we've had a lot of really great guest speakers. Unfortunately, we only keep them 2 or 3 months for the guest speakers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh.
thanks.
Uh-huh. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Be good.